Yes, sir.
Good evening. We have two board meetings tonight. We have a special meeting, which we will call to order now at 6:45 to hear a budget presentation from our Chief Financial Officer. And once this meeting concludes, we will adjourn this meeting and then call to order our regularly scheduled board meeting. So we'll call to order the hearing on the fiscal year 18 budget.
Okay. And then this will serve as our public hearing and also a presentation of what is the proposed budget for adoption this evening. My name is Beth Marone. I'm the Chief Financial Officer. I've been with the school system since 2004. And this evening we are going to talk a little bit about school finances. In the school system, we have four different funds. The General Current Expense Fund houses all of our operating expenses. Our Special Revenue Fund houses state and federal funds. Our Debt Service Fund houses the payment of our $19 million bond, which funded the Jefferson High School renovation and the building of our second high school, Washington High School. And our Capital Projects Fund, which houses capital expenditures. Special revenue, and actually this evening I wanted to do something a little different and give us a comparison from fiscal year 12 to the current data that I have available, which would be 18, or in some cases it may only be 16, depending on when the state pulls that data. Because in fiscal year 12, feel like we started to climb up a mountain, which is when our revenues took a dive, and we've been making adjustments since then. I'm going to talk about our other funds briefly and then focus on our general operating fund. Fund 61, which is our special revenue fund. In fiscal year 12, we had a $10.7 million budget. In fiscal year 18, we are proposing a almost $12.7 million budget.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Say what figure are you proposing again for 18?
For 18, we will have a $12.7 million proposed budget for Fund 61, which is our special revenue fund. Fund 61 actually is increasing by approximately $274,000. I don't want that to be misleading, so I wanted to let you know what those increases are. One is about $100,000 for bus replacement, which is on a formula, and because we're in a growth county, those funds are still increasing, and that formula hasn't been changed. About $115,000 is from our child nutrition program, and that is an initiative that we focused on over the past 2 years, and the revenue in that fund is up about $115,000. Keeping in mind that at the state and federal level, we will be seeing decreases, particularly in our federal programs, and most of them have a September or October 1 fiscal year, so all of the data isn't out. But when any of those funds decrease, the impact is to our general fund. Fund 51 is where we house our funds that are not eligible for general operating expenditures. So there's a special purpose for these funds. In 2012, our table referendum funds brought in $4.2 million. Today, year to date, we are at $1.7 million. In 2012, we were bringing in impact fees. However, we didn't start recording them directly at the school system until fiscal year 14. And in fiscal year 14, we brought in almost $1.7 million of impact fees. Currently, year to date, we're at $885,000. In 2007, we had a Senate Bill 408, which Herb Snyder was instrumental in passing to help and assist growth counties. And in 2007, we received $975,000 for our Senate Bill 408 growth funds. Last year, we received $224,000. Any questions on our special funding? Okay, we're going to move to our current operating budget. And the board has three things in their packet. You have a copy of the presentation, which is in color. You also have a copy of what the publication that will go to the newspaper. And you have some personnel detail that I wanted to highlight. The first thing I want to tell you is that our general current expense fund increased by $10 million. And I want you to know why, and I want to caution you when you're looking at data to understand where that data came from. So the presentation is going to extract the $10 million, but this is the first year we've been required to budget the unfunded retirement on our local books. So what you'll see is $9.6 million increase. So if you look at your newspaper publication, it'll say $98,162. As we go through the presentation, I've pulled the 9.6 out so that the comparison, you can truly see where our revenues are increasing or decreasing, where our salary and benefits are increasing and decreasing, and where our non-salary items are increasing and decreasing. Next year, we'll add it in so that when you look at the two comparisons, you'll still be able to see that. Where did we start? We started before we started climbing this mountain, and I call it a mountain because it's been a long mountain that we've been climbing. I also want to say that we're only halfway up it, and tonight I am taking a pause for reflection to look down at where we've come from. But I'm also making sure that our board and our staff understand that we still have a climb to get up the hill. In 2012, we riffed 66 positions, and beginning in fiscal year 10, our excess levy and our assessed values took a hit. Economically, the entire country took a hit, but this is the impact to Jefferson County and, more importantly, to Jefferson County schools. At our biggest decrease, we were 26% down at a total of almost $2 million. Here's where we are today, just looking at our excess levy, and we're looking at our budget. Again, we're looking at budget and budget. And you can see that over the past few years, we've had an increase in our assessed values. And more specifically, in fiscal year 18, even though that increase is a 3% increase, the actual increase to assessed values was 1.6. The majority of that increase is coming from public utilities and infrastructure as a one-time.
But 8 years ago, the excess levy generated almost $23 million in revenue to fund primarily teacher salaries and benefits.
That's correct.
And the latest actual year of actuals is this FY17? Are those actuals, or is that budget?
That's budget to budget.
Okay.
So when we started the climb up, we had, and actually Mr. Cable and Mr. Sudduth, you were here at that time, when we started our assessed values down and we started addressing the issue and looking at what we needed to address. The philosophical resounding theme was maintain current salaries and benefits. So our excess levy was producing $5.2 million less, and our main priority was to maintain salaries and benefits. So what did we do? The very first thing we did, well, we buckled our seatbelts and we got ready to roll. We did cut three of our newer benefits. We cut child care, we cut tuition reimbursement, and we cut our attendance benefit. They were benefits that had been adopted when our excess levy was trending upward. So our immediate reaction was to cut those benefits And our philosophical reality was we did not want to touch staff salaries or current benefits.
But what you're budgeted for 17 as well as for 18 is still basically 10% less per year than what we collected 8 years ago.
That's correct. In fiscal year 16, when we went out for our levy, we took our second step, and that was we reduced our actual levy budgeted expenses by $1 million. It was difficult, but again, when we went out to our staff, they said, resounding, we do not want our benefits or our salaries cut. We cut supplies, I think $500,000 at the school level, and we focused on attrition, meaning that when our more senior teachers retired, we had some flow through with our newer teachers, and that provided us some attrition. We also did some evaluations of positions. So again, we adopted the philosophy that we didn't want to hurt current staff, salary or benefits, but as people retired, we redistributed responsibilities, putting that responsibility on staff that was still with us so that we could maintain those benefits. We didn't take the easy way. The easy way would have been cut 3 supplemental checks. We're down $5.2 million in our excess levy. Our 3 supplemental checks to every employee in our system equal $5.1 million. We said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to look at other ways and maintain that staff. So we started to put in some things into action. We started looking at everything but salary and benefits. We looked at our budget to our actuals. So we said, okay, here's what we're continuously budgeting. Let's look at our trend data for our actuals, and let's try to align that closer, even though it's a little more work and we have to look constantly at our budget and actuals. Let's see if we can trim some fat there. We did. The next year, we looked at collaboration of funds. We have state and federal funds, and at that time, they were still doing fairly healthy. And we looked at what those funds were supporting and how we could collaborate with our general fund and allow them to supplement the educational experience for our students without cutting any salaries and benefits. The next thing we looked at, and you heard this word more recently when either right before Dr. Gibson came or right when she came, is sustainable versus non-sustainable. So we looked at cutting things, and we turned over stones, and we decided to focus on these things. And as a system, we looked at those and said, you know, we believe we can make these cuts and they will be sustainable. And I will say today, we're looking at those now, and what you think is sustainable 5 years ago may need to be looked at in this current year and future years, and the reality of whether or not that is truly sustainable. And then we came to this year, and this year we're looking at recurring operating cost versus one-time cost. So this has been a 5-year process as we've climbed up the hill, looking and turning things over. In the interim, we also started dipping into our, what I call rainy day fund, our fund equity or our savings account. Because we couldn't cut $5.1 million in 1 year, it's a process that we have to work through. And you can see in fiscal year 11, we also had stabilization money, but you can see that our fund equity or our savings account was exceedingly decreasing year after year because we were using that to balance our budget. I will also mention that in fiscal year 16, you see an increase, which to me is phenomenal, given the fact that we still are looking at recurring revenue and expenditures and trying to balance that. We made a lot of cuts, I think to the tune of almost $400,000, primarily at the central office, to attribute to not quite a $300,000 increase in our savings account. Excess levy and positions. In fiscal year 12, we were over the formula 185.87 positions. This budget in fiscal year 17, we used 17 data for our preliminary 18 budget. We are 103.77 positions over the formula. which is a decrease of 82 positions. In addition, not only are we climbing a mountain, but we're also working with a state formula that doesn't sufficiently fund education. And I'm going to give you their numbers. So across the entire West Virginia state, in 2014 was the data that I had, the entire 55 counties were over the formula for service and professional positions, almost 2,100 positions. Today, that same formula that was redid and had a five-year roll-in, today, that same formula that we're battling is 2,600 positions statewide over the formula. And we decreased 82 of those positions. Okay. So what did we do? We started with those actions, and then the next thing we did is we did a survey. Dr. Gibson came, we had new leadership, we sent it out to our community members, we sent it out to our staff members, we sent it to anybody and everybody that we could think of to ask them, hey, here's where we're at. We have what we call a revenue gap. That means that the expenses that we have in our budget annually are exceeding what our revenue sources are. How can we manage it, and how can we focus on the priorities of everybody who's a participant in this budget? Now, these are pared down. I basically went through, I think Dr. Gibson took, 500, and pared them down to 20. This is what came out of the survey across the community and across our staff. Maintain current level of salary and benefits for all employees. Administrative staffing. Look at your administrative staffing. We think we have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Technology. We want you to work not only smarter and harder, but use your technology to fill the gap. Because if we look at technology, we can save, time. We can be more efficient. Conservation. We looked at energy. Energy was a big thing. Turn the lights off. Little things. Every single person in the system participated by doing little things that aren't quantifiable, but yet they affected their everyday. We have teachers walking down the hall to a printer. We have central office administration walking down to the hall to pick up a printout. We don't print just on one side anymore. We're printing on two sides. Every attendance thing, every notification that goes out is two sides. Those affected our day-to-day, but that's how everybody pitched in to make that budget happen. Purchasing. A lot of people don't know this, but back in 2006 or 7, we had a purchasing agent. We eliminated that position. Purchasing was then decentralized. Every manager managed their own purchasing. We pulled some of that in. We cut 50% from our school supplies. We said, you know what, we're going to bid out for your paper and we're going to bid out for your agenda. We're going to save money. We're going to take on that responsibility. I actually think Dr. Gibson may have actually done the bidding herself. Then we took the staff's priorities. So the staffs in the community gave us their priorities. We looked at them. We saw what we did. And then we said, okay, we got a leadership team together, and from those priorities, we I skipped it. I'm sorry. I skipped one. Anyway, these were the accomplishments or some of the things that we've been doing, and I think I highlighted it on those. Our Jefferson leadership team, which consists of the superintendent, 2 assistant superintendents, the director of pupil services, chief human resources officer, and myself, gathered that data, looked at it, and said, okay, here's what our priorities are, with some guidance from the board. We're going to address the consistent revenue shortfalls. We're going to balance the revenue and expenditures in our baseline budget. We're going to establish priorities for savings. We're going to manage growth proactively, and we're going to fund operations and administrative cost at the most efficient level that we possibly can to invest in instruction at the school level. And we did. How did we do it? We cut In November of 2015, we came to you, we cut for a sustainable savings of $339,282, primarily from our central office. That were positions, contract days, you name it, we cut it, with a one-time savings at that time of $278,000. In fiscal year 12?
Excuse me, can you give us a quick overview of those savings and then tell us what budget that you are recommending tonight that go
Okay.
out for review?
Okay. The
We
sustainable?
may have a couple of questions on that budget.
Okay.
We don't want to keep our students waiting
Okay.
too long.
Okay, that's not a problem. Our levy, let me just back to this. Those savings came from, we converted a 261-day position to a 240 in C&I. We cut to a half-time position for Ms. Henry's position. We riffed secretary and HR. We moved a 261-day position, combined some jobs, cut from 261 to a 240 contract. We riffed the assistant transportation coordinator at our transportation department. Mr. Ebersol's school improvement specialist and the coordinator of federal programs were absorbed into one position. And we riffed an attorney, a full position, and that's it. We also.
This is, I mean, you've highlighted this, and of course, we all well know that you've worked very hard to try to absorb as much of this revenue decrease within the central office, and indeed have ripped positions that are very difficult to do without.
We also maintained $6.6 million worth of benefits, $5.4 million for 3 supplemental checks, $800,000 for a free dental program to all employees and their family, free vision program, $202,000 annually, long-term disability, $234,000 for every employee free of charge, and a $10,000 life policy for a total of $6.6 million. Three more slides and I'll make it as quick as possible. Where have we come since fiscal year 12? This proposed budget actually goes from a revenue gap of $3.5 million in our fiscal year 13 budget down to $1.2 million. Which is phenomenal. We have an increase of revenue of $450,000, most of that coming from a one-time public utility increase of $565,000. I do want to mention.
And that was based on retention of some conservation efforts, is that what?
And, a couple other things I know that,
Right.
a little bit longer.
We made some
Lease revenue.
adjustments to LED.
Yeah, you made some lease revenue, yeah. The staffing overview, I've given you a detail on it. Going from 17 to 18, we're increasing 4.64 positions. We've moved a lot of staff, we've moved a lot of programs, but everybody has maintained their benefits and their salaries. You did adopt 22 positions in fiscal year 17. With those movements and changes, we are only changing 4.64 positions between the 2 fiscal years. Going to shout out to Ms. Fitzwater, and understand that a lot of those changes are being led by your leadership team. We are also going to be your future retirees, and we also have to guide our staff into making those changes. Everybody kept their job, everybody kept their benefits. We funded programs and aligned our staff to meet our current student needs. Probably the biggest review of staff alignment since I've been with the system. Quickly, our total salaries, even though we're increasing overall by 4 positions, we are decreasing by almost $600,000. Our total non-salary is increasing by $454,000. Our challenges are sustainability. We're a growth county. We have halfway climbed up the mountain and the state is now kicking us back down. And putting pretty good pressure on us to do it. We don't even get funded for our facilities, and now we're going to have SBA reserve $600,000 for our smaller counties who are in a financial deficit. So every change at the state level, we're hanging on a bridge with 5 fingers. They're just peeling those fingers off to maintain others other than our growth counties. This budget is asking for adoption at the $98.1 million. I'm sorry, I could talk forever on it.
Well, thank you. We should get a motion to adopt the proposed 18 budget, and then any questions?
So moved.
Second? Thank you. Questions for Ms. Marone? I guess kind of the obvious question, which is, since the state has not yet adopted a budget, and we have to adopt one, and we don't yet know, it's not clear what other cuts we're going to face. So obviously, we can put this out for review and adopt it, but it is subject to some modification.
It is. There are some assumptions in it. So number one, we did assume that the employer portion of our PEIA program will have an increase. It looked like 3% on the budget to budget. The actuals are about an 8% increase. So we can handle about an 8% increase. In the same sense, the retirees unfunded had a slight, or the RHBT, which is the retirees ongoing unfunded, had an actual decrease of 10%. So we've made as many modifications that we can. Most importantly, this budget has a contingency of $900,000. That is an increase from last year. We doubled what they cut us last year, plus have a $200,000 for everyday contingencies, which is phenomenal given the climate that we're in.
Okay. Questions, comments? And the motion is on adoption of the proposed fiscal year 2018 budget pending state board approval. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Ms. Marone, so what's the next step in this process?
Next step is that by June 30th, they will, I'm sure, probably have a balanced budget and come back with us with some changes. They've already got changes going into 19 that are going to affect our budget. The other comment I would make is that they are finally giving us flexibility and local control. They have no money, but we are getting some flexibility and local control, which will actually help us in some ways. We have a table referendum contribution of $1.9 million. If you look at the data, our expenses are also exceeding those revenues, and so it may give us a way to somewhat fund that going forward. And then it will be the normal process. Any changes will come through as a budget transfer or supplement monthly on the board agenda.
Well, thank you. I know this was a far too brief overview of some great work that you and everyone else on your team and throughout the central office have done as you said, as we keep rolling down the mountain, but thanks.
Okay.
Keep it up. We will now adjourn the special meeting of the Board of Education. And do we need to give anyone a minute to enter, or are we ready? Yeah, if we'll just let... Sorry, let's butcher that for now. I got here I'm sorry to do that. I know it. Well, if we need to invite her back, let's do it. So, who's doing the introduction?
Miss Mandel will introduce her. Call the meeting to order.
Yep. Good evening. Welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education. We'll call the meeting to order. We have some guests from the Opportunity Learning Center. Please introduce, and we'll ask them to lead us in the pledge.
Okay, hi, I'm Thomas Vandell, the administrator at the Opportunity Learning Center here in Jefferson County, and I have with me a freshman from Jefferson High School. This is Abby Fravel. She has done an outstanding job with us. She gets out there and plays hard in gym, she plays hard in the classroom, and she has been a role model. So, Abby, pledge allegiance.
Invite you to stand and join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For being here. Madam Superintendent, we'll start with some recognitions.
We sure will. Our Jefferson High School Regional Science Fair winners are first. We'll call them in out of the hallway. Our usual logistical dance of let them all get in the door.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'd like to present to the board winners of the 2017 West Virginia Eastern Panhandle Senior Regional Science Fair.
That was a mouthful.
Ms. Courtney Baker.
We'll ask the students to come around and stand behind us, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Not with us this evening, Abby Snyder. Ms. Megan Miles. Not with us this evening, Andrea Walsh. Miss Lucy Payne. Mr. Joey Gentile. And Mr. Matthew Spiker. After a long absence from the Regional Science Fair, all these folks have managed to the Science Fair, and I think they really enjoyed it and had a good time. We hope to do it again next year.
So tell us a little bit about these projects.
Let's see. I remember Courtney and Megan did a project on, I'm trying to remember. Can you tell if a person is lying by the temperature of their nose?
I'm not sure we want to know the answer.
And Ms. Payne did a project comparing crime rates with lunar cycles. Mr. Gentile did a project on making hybrid wing aircraft, and he won a special award from the regional fair where he gets an all-expense paid trip to Oshkosh, Wisconsin next year to attend it's a summer camp for pilots. I can't quite remember all the details. And Mr. Spiker did one on wireless laser communication. Awesome, really neat stuff.
Well, thank you for your guidance and leadership of these outstanding young students.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And let's get a picture.
All right. Hold your certificates for me. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Do one more. If you hold yours up just a little higher. Yep. Courtney, there you go. Thank you. 1, 2, 3.
Looks great.
Thank you. Don't blow up anything this summer.
We won't believe that. Thank you, man.
Yes, ma'am. We have one filling system.
Squeeze in, guys.
I want to stand right here.
You're going to stay right here? Yeah. Good evening. Thank you guys for the invitation to share with you some of the successes recently held by a few of our students that are here. I do apologize that we are missing a few with semester exams going on, and some recently graduated and attending to jobs and things. It's a little bit tight on time, but nonetheless, we do have 5 individuals from 2 different contests to share with you. The first group that I'll talk about is this group in the light blue shirts. This is 4 of the 5 individuals that participated in the West Virginia Envirothon contest. While many of their classmates were enjoying the splendors of spring break, these guys took a trip to central West Virginia and competed in that 21st annual contest sponsored by the Conservation District. And that contest deals a lot in environmental practices, stewardship, best management practices, things like that, dealing in forestry, wildlife, aquatics, and soils, with a special topic dealing in this case, farm management. And these 4, along with one other individual, did a fantastic job, placing 5th in that state contest overall, 2nd in the FFA division, and earned a $1,250 scholarship for their efforts. So awesome job by these guys. Zach Savela, who is unable to be here, Earl Hamby down here at the end, Lucas Henderson, Nick Chapman, and Jameson Smith. Thank you guys once again for your time and effort. Also with me tonight is Miss Samantha Creamer, and she was a member of our horse evaluation team, which competed also over spring break at Potomac State College in West Virginia and Kaiser. And her efforts, along with her teammates, earned the team 2nd place in that contest, just shy of opportunity to compete in nationals, but very, very proud of their efforts and a huge accomplishment for them. Samantha ranked 4th overall as an individual in that contest as well, so fantastic job. The other members of that team were Jenna Everhart, who placed 5th in the contest as an individual, Helena Bridwell, and Carly Lindemood. Once again, thank you guys for your opportunity to speak here this evening. I know you've got a tight schedule, so thanks.
Thank you.
This looks pretty good. All right, 1, 2, 3. We'll do one more. 1, 2, 3. Great.
Congratulations again.
I'm gonna have the students come over here. Adam. Good evening. We've done a lot of great things at the Opportunity Learning Center this school year, and we wanted to go ahead and recognize some of the wonderful things we've done. We had Martin's Grocery Store, and Robert Bonner, is he here by chance? Robert Bonner's the store manager at Martin's Grocery Store, and they have donated $25 to us every month since October. We've used that for different things, part of our reward program, for science experiments, and for a math lab. So we wanted to thank Martin's for that. I guess he couldn't make it tonight. And then I wanted to thank Lisa Dash. She's a long-term sub. She actually covered for me this year, and she's the one that initiated that, and she started that program. So even though we're not here, thank you. The next wonderful thing, 3 years ago, Dr. Joan Castle worked with Community Ministries to start our students doing community service. And this past year, we've strictly worked with Dr. William Gregg down at the Gardens in Ranson, and our students actually went 26 times this year. So these are some of our students that went. They worked very hard, and we appreciate we call him Mr. Bill affectionately. He has the patience of a saint. We appreciate him working with our students, and we appreciate the students doing an excellent job. So thank you, guys. And then lastly, we brought Jim back to the OLC this year, so we appreciate Wright Denny working with us. And we had a 100% participation rate every single day. Our students got out there no matter what, and they participated in gym. So I'm very, very proud of them, because I don't think a lot of schools could say that. So good job. And I'm going to recognize Miss Abby Fravel, Mr. Matt Bush, Wally Roper, and Bradley Fritz. So good job.
Come around.
Yes, Mr. Bill, will you get up in the picture too?
Please.
Watch out.
Are you very similar?
Yep. Yeah, sure. There's your certificate. And Dr. Gregg did bring some seeds for everybody. They're outside on the table. So there's some free seeds.
You can get the rest of you guys, just scoot down a little bit. Put you nice and centered. Great. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna do one more, okay? You guys wanna hold up your certificates for me? Loud and proud. All right. 1, 2, 3. Great, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Dr. Gibson, members of the board, it gives me great pleasure to present to you once again Allie Householder. And I realize you have a very, very busy agenda, but if you allow me one moment to read a very brief passage of just a few sentences of her masterwork, I think it will help us all understand why out of the hundreds, literally hundreds of pieces that were crafted by juniors and seniors all across West Virginia, Allie Householder's work was chosen among the top 3 and placed 3rd. So just a brief moment. Listen, if you would, please. Who's lonely? She whispers back. Ah, her Gram only smiles, a noiseless yet still quite loud smile, the sort that yells without sound, that sort that screams, I know something you don't. Juno stuck out her tongue. Her Gram is a peculiar woman with a diminutive, and Juno sounds out this word in her mind. It is much too complicated for this story, in her opinion. Stature, diminutive stature, and large hands like oven mitts, meant for hugging and squeezing, and most deftly for cheek pinching. Her dozens of rings often dig into an unfortunate victim's face, gold and silver and ruby red. Her eyes are young. Her clothes are often younger. Yes, Gram is a very peculiar woman. Juno loves it. Thank you, Allie. Now you understand?
Mr. Eversole, that was quite a teaser. We're going to have to read the rest of it.
Please do. Please do.
Please, move around. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Right, that's perfect, yes.
All right. 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready. Go.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
Well
much.
done. Yeah.
Don't want to get an autograph now.
Yeah, that's right.
Before you have to stand in line for it.
Much of the time we spend honoring our young people, which is always heartwarming. This evening, however, from Washington High School, we're also very pleased to honor one of our adults. Mrs. Barbara Zing was awarded the Secondary Math Teacher of the Year by the West Virginia Council of Teachers of Mathematics. Tonight she is here with some of her family members right on the front row. Mrs. Zing is known for her passion. She was very diligent in helping math teachers throughout the county learn the new standards and learn how to work with them. Her passion has continued all through the state. She has served on numerous committees and works hard every day in order to make the math standards more understandable by parents, adults, and by everyone in our community. Mrs. Singh.
I understand this is the spot.
This is it.
Oh,
This
hold
is
them
it.
both up. So this is the.
And we certainly aren't surprised.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Looks good.
Great.
All right.
So, I had the pleasure of sitting near Ms. Zing recently at a school event where I learned of one of her I believe it was an extracurricular assignment for her students. All of these great, it was both a lesson in travel, but a lesson in math tied to the entire trip. It was brilliant, and just the sense of the extracurricular, I can have no idea how challenging the actual class must be, but that was a remarkable example of the type of effort that you bring. And so from seeing you here and engaging with the board on so many activities related to our math curriculum, we have no doubt that you deserve this award. Thank you.
Okay, our next award tonight is for a lady here, Caroline Myers from Harpers Ferry Middle School. She will attend the West Virginia Ambassadors Camp June 19th through the 22nd at the University of Charleston. The focus of this camp is to provide the participants with the opportunity to learn more about the history of the state of West Virginia. She will stay at the dorms at University of Charleston, and this will be a great experience for her, and they will have some activities at the state capitol and, of course, in the city of Charleston. So, Caroline, congratulations. And we do have another lady that did not get to be here tonight, Elizabeth Pearson, also from Harpers Ferry Middle.
Great.
All right. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. That's great.
Well done. Have fun.
Hello, everybody. I'm Susie Moreland, and I'm a business teacher at Washington High School. And it's my pleasure to be here again this evening to visit you with two of our best and brightest from Washington High School. These two young ladies that stand beside me are here because they were selected for the first group of an inaugural season for a new award, and it's called the West Virginia Governor's Workforce Credential. This began with the simulated workplace programs that are in place now in Jefferson County schools, and these two young ladies were instrumental in the beginning of our very first simulated workplace program at Washington High. They have done everything that I have asked them to do and more. They had several hoops to jump through in order to earn this credential, so I will share those with you right now. The first, they have to be a completer in a CTE program, and both of these young ladies are dual completers. Allison completed last year in Careers in Ed as a junior, and this year in Management and Administrative Support. Kylie completed in Management and Administrative Support and Accounting. So I've had these girls since sophomore year, I guess, and they've done lots of things. They, in addition to being completers, have to have an attendance rate of 95% or higher, and I believe when they did their portfolio, their rates were 100% and 99, so we were great. They must also have a level 3 in math or English language arts on the West Virginia Summative Assessment, or a level 5 on the WIN program. That's a special career readiness credential that our CTE students go through. Both of these girls obtained the platinum and the gold level on that, so they even superseded what they had to do. Their fourth credential was to earn a national recognition. They have numerous because they both are Microsoft Office specialists in many different versions and software. Kylie has passed Word, Excel, Access, and PowerPoint, and Allison has passed Word and PowerPoint, so they have additional certifications there. And the final step was to be to pass 2 drug screenings, which on their part was completely voluntary this year. Their class was not a part of the required drug screenings, but they took those 2 by volunteering and passed and have earned the governor's credential. There are only 67 students across the state. This is a statewide award. Out of all the CTE students who have attained it, they're our first in Jefferson County, so I am very pleased to introduce and welcome and honor Kylie Kirshner and Allison Swartz. These girls are finished. They graduated on Saturday, and I'm still not finished with them yet. They have one more thing to do with me. They're going to give a report at our CTE Advisory Council meeting to explain simulated workplace. I figured let's let them talk instead of me. So they are just fabulous.
And when they're done with that, send us your resumes.
I'm telling you, you want these girls. It's a tribute to their parents. They have been raised well. They are fine students. They are a pleasure. I hate to see them go. They're awesome. They really are.
How are you guys?
We're good.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
Congratulations, graduates.
Hello. Good. The next group we'd like to introduce tonight is the Governor's School for Math and Science. It's 7th and 8th graders in the county. Basically, in 2017, the focus of the study for this year's Math and Science Governor's Honor School is for young people to affect change through the imagination and hard work. The 7th grade students have a choice of going in June, early June or late June, and they will be actually at West Virginia University in Morgantown. They will work in research groups at the university to learn the math and physics necessary for research projects, which is the math, science, and sports. And the 8th graders this year for the Math and Science Honor will be actually building a sustainable future, and they will attend West Virginia State University July 10th through the 23rd. And they will have an opportunity to create ways to build a sustainable universe of the future. and as a study, dream, and work at the university. And Ms. Horn will give us the names.
Our delegation includes Leo Cucazella, who I don't believe is here tonight. Nathanson Gageby. Carmen Skinner. And Colin Goodell.
One, two, three. That's great.
Switch it if you like.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I know it.
Poor Andrew.
You didn't get any genes in this at all.
Jill is one of our bus aides, and she was in quite an accident about 3 weeks ago. But in that accident, and when that happened, with our kids on the bus, Jill selfishly, all the time, worried about the kids and not herself. When I came in, and I hope you don't mind me saying, there was a big old cut across her ear. She had no worry about herself. She was worried about our children. And for that reason, I put her in for the Spirit of Jefferson Award, because I didn't think of any better reason than worrying about our children way more than themselves.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. We'll do, yep, that looks great.
Jill,
Thank you.
thank you.
And with that comes a check too. It's not a big check, but it's a little bit.
Thank you
That
so
comes
much.
with it.
Thank you.
It's $50. 100. Sorry.
Good evening. It is my honor to speak about Mrs. Tiffany Seaman. Tiffany is a 5th grade teacher at TA Lowry who was nominated for the Spirit of Jefferson Award. She also student taught last year at TA Lowry. She is a team player. She collaborates with not only her 5th grade team but also the special ed department. She works very hard. She's hard to kick out even when she's sick. She has her 5 children with her here tonight to support her. She designs lessons that are engaging, that require her students to think critically, and I just can't say enough good things about her. Very, very deserving of the award. So congratulations.
Well, we appreciate your dedication.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Great, thank you. And we have no doubt that you get good guidance and leadership at TA Lowry. Well, Madam Superintendent, thank you. I think that's our last group of recognitions for this school year.
Yes, sir, it is.
And it's been terrific. We have witnessed such tremendous extracurricular activities of our students, and then the efforts of our teachers and staff. So thank you for the opportunity to recognize them. And now we have a presentation from, I believe, Ms. Todd?
Yes.
Regarding the retiree dental and vision plans. Yeah. Does she have any handouts?
Yes, you have these out in front of you.
It's this.
Oh, thank you.
Password for this?
Just hit that.
Okay. All right.
So while she's readying that, I can give some background information. And I believe that the board saw the data that came out from the state of West Virginia about 3 weeks ago, in which they compared the administrative staffs of all 55 school districts across the state in terms of efficiency, meaning number of administrators to number of students. And Jefferson County Schools ranked 4th in the state on that list in terms of smallest number of administrators to largest number of students and staff. So as we've grown, as Ms. Marone pointed out, we have increased the number of staff who are serving our students and held the line on our administrative costs as a way of responding to budget cuts. The strain of that has led some of our departments to come and say, wow, we are really struggling, and we either need additional staff or we need to lower our expectations for what you need to bring to us. And so part of the process that we've gone through is said, well, look at what you're doing. Let's look at how you're spending your time. And is there anything that we could do differently so that we could free up some time for you to do these things that we're struggling through right now? And this was one of the things that was brought to the leadership team for our consideration. And much like the process I think that most of the community saw during redistricting. Our process is going to be the same. We are going to bring information to people. We're going to put data behind what we say, and then we're going to open up and have a community conversation about, we have to respond to this data. Here's one way in which we could do it. If anyone else has an idea for how to build a better mousetrap, we're happy to hear that as well. And then we'll work through that process together as a community and come out on the other end and achieve our goals. So.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so good evening. So the information that I'm going to present tonight is supporting a proposal for Jefferson County Schools to no longer offer retirees after the 2017-18 fiscal year, the retiree dental and vision coverage through Jefferson County Schools. We've been maintaining the retiree dental and vision benefits through Delta Dental and Vision Service Plan, and these benefits mirror the coverage that is provided to our active employees. The difference being that retirees pay a premium to continue this coverage. We're a growing system, and with that comes an increased number of staff and services to that staff. The central office staff has been cut significantly, and we have to make decisions as to how to best use our resources in supporting our employee population. The numbers on this slide represent the current enrollment numbers for retired policyholders in the two separate plans. As you can see, dental has increased by 12% in just the past 2 years, and the number of policyholders in the vision plan has increased by 16%. Our first concern is for our retirees is that they have viable options for insurance during their retirement. We value their prior service to Jefferson County Schools, and we want to ensure that they continue to have coverage that they need. The issue of availability of other options is what's presented on this slide. Currently, PEIA offers all retirees options for not only dental and vision, but hearing aid, insurance, and legal services under a program entitled Mountaineer Flexible Benefits. PEIA offers different levels of coverage for both dental and vision plans. The premiums for the highest levels of the coverage that they offer are comparable to the Jefferson County Schools plans. PEIA takes the premium directly out of the retiree's monthly annuity, and for those that have retired from a system that doesn't offer a monthly annuity, PEIA will direct bill those for those premiums. This slide shows only the differences between the Mountaineer Flexible Enhanced Dental Plan and Jefferson County Schools Dental Plan. Coverage for all services including exams, cleanings, x-rays, fillings, root canals, gum treatment, oral surgery, crowns, bridges, and dentures are all identical under both the Mountaineer Flex Plan and the Jefferson County Schools Plan. But you can see the differences here are that retiree-only coverage, a monthly premium will cost them $28.72. We currently charge $27.38 per month. Retiree and spouse monthly premium for the Mountaineer Flex Plan is $66.70. We are charging $63.67. This would be a big difference with the retiree and family monthly premiums. We don't currently have a separate retiree and family. Really, we just have family, which would be retiree and spouse or additional dependents. If the retiree has additional dependents beyond a spouse, it would be $95.28. That is not the norm, but we do have a few individuals that do have dependents on their coverage. The annual deductible is $50 per person annually, whereas ours is $25 per person, and the plan year max is $1,250, whereas ours is $2,000 per person. Their plan does offer an adult orthodontic benefit. We do not have that coverage, and the TMJ disorder max is a difference of $500 there. For those that do have dependent children on their plan, the PEIA Mountaineer Flex Plan will allow them to keep their children on there up to age 26. We can only allow our dependents to stay on up to age 23, and that's if they're a full-time student. Otherwise, they come off at age 19. With regards to the vision plans, one of the bigger differences would be that it's Vision Service Plan as the provider for the Jefferson County Schools Plan, and the Mountaineer Plan is MetLife. And I know that it's always hard to change providers, but please keep in mind that MetLife is a nationwide program, and they're highly valued across the country. But other than that, your Well Vision exam, you're going to have a copay of $20, whereas we do not have the copay. Prescription glasses has a $20 copay. We have no copay. The frames or contact lenses every 24 months, their allowance is $150 and ours is only $115. We have a 2-cent difference on our monthly premium, and $16.97 is their monthly premium for family, and $16.24 is our monthly premium. So the hugest issue is manpower in maintaining this. Maintaining this takes several steps. I've kind of numbered it down to 10 steps exactly, but I'm maintaining the receipts that I receive in this entire program on a spreadsheet. I don't have a billing system. And I'm accepting payments and providing receipts when requested. There's continual additional contact and answering phone calls for folks, that are checking on to see how far they've paid up, if, folks that want to pay in advance. The spreadsheet should be audited monthly, and notices sent out to retirees informing them of payments due on a monthly basis. There should be mailed communication that's going out and developed for the retirees at least on an annual basis. Additional maintenance to the online dental and vision systems. All the policyholders' families are due COBRA, so if something should happen with the policyholder, we still have the obligation to keep any spouses or children that are on the plan, to keep them going for an additional 18 months under a separate program. A copy of all incoming checks have to be filed in binders, and incoming funds have to be logged and sent to finance. And the bottom line is that additional policyholders on the plan by default generates more questions and more need for customer assistance. if we were to go forward with this, we do intend to provide the retirees with more than a year's notice of this discontinuance, and a letter would go out to them letting them know. In that letter, contact information for PEIA would be provided so that they could begin making calls to check on the Mountaineer Flexible Benefits plans and see what's available to them. And I would be available, as well as someone from our finance department, to meet with retiree group and brainstorm ways to possibly reduce staff time for the administration of this plan. So if somebody's got, a good alternative idea of, how we could administer this, we're all ears. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Dodd. Questions from the board?
I have a question on this chart. Did you say that we don't have any retiree and families right now, just retiree and spouse? Or is there an additional fee? Because it says that $63.67 for retiree and spouse.
We charge $63.67 if you just have a spouse or if you have a spouse and dependents. Whereas the Mountaineer Flex, they have one fee for retiring spouse and another fee if they have additional dependents beyond a spouse.
Particularly given the conversation we had earlier tonight regarding the budget and all of the cuts that we have weathered to the administrative staff, I think we certainly understand and appreciate that you and everyone is looking under every rock to see how we can be more efficient. Of course, we also need to be mindful of the impact on both current employees and our retirees. And I would anticipate, you said that we've had 12% double-digit growth over the past 2 years, and we would expect that to just keep growing.
It's going to continue. Yeah. I would say every year I have somewhere in the ballpark of 20 to 25 retirees, and easily half or more are electing to take our coverage. And it's a matter of comfort. You understand and you know how it works, and insurance is not always an easy thing to understand anyway. So it's human nature to want to stick with what you know.
Of the manpower issues that you raised, are these services that you're currently providing to employees?
Yes.
So that's already taken quite a bit of time.
The only thing out of the services listed there, I don't take payments from employees because we provide the dental and vision free of charge to them.
Right.
But every other service would be provided, yes.
I thought we changed some job titles back a couple years ago in hopes of getting her some help. Did that happen?
I'm not sure how many years ago you are referring to.
I think they changed a job title from service personnel to professional, and when we did that, two of the things that possibly were going to be done was to supplement and help her some, and also help Larry Willingham with some payroll types of issues. Okay. Are we doing that?
Okay. If you're referring to, and the only one that I'm aware of in my tenure is the position that was a full-time service position in finance that went to a half-time professional position. And yes, one of the things that we have done is that in the coming year, they will take the payment portion over for benefits, but and they have also taken they have also taken over some of, and that is still a work in progress, some of the payroll portions of the bus drivers. That has been, we have a pilot that we've had a couple of bus drivers running to try to simplify their pay sheet, try to reduce that amount of time. Again, as we continue to grow in number of employees, the more things that we have to touch manually, where there's all these variations of them, to the extent that we can narrow that, we can have fewer administrative staff cover a greater number of employees and students.
Could technology help in some of these things that are on this list here if we had software that was more beneficial than a spreadsheet?
Yeah, I would love a billing system that could at least send out late notices, because, we're grossly behind on letting people know that they're behind on their payments.
So if we could mechanize this might
We
help.
could, if there was a desire on the part of the board for us to make an investment in a one-time billing system that meshes with our finance system, for us to be able to cover the bills and send out notices, because right now, that's happening manually, and oftentimes it'll be...
Time consuming.
It is, it's just, we're not an insurance agency. We're not a billing agency. It's just, we're not staffed to do that. So yes, if we could automate that, we could ask technology to go through and do some research on what a feasible product would be and a cost for that, and bring that back to the board.
What is our timeline on this, as far as if we were going to make that change? Is there a certain date we have to do it by to be effective for the next year?
Well, open enrollment for the Mountaineer Flexible Benefits is in April of every year, and anyone who makes election to take that coverage at that time has an effective date of July 1st. So if we were to go forward, then certainly April would be the open enrollment time period. We would look to discontinue our coverage June 30th, and the retirees would then have their coverage through Mountaineer Flex as of July 1. That would be the goal.
So before next year?
Yes.
Okay. So is it possible, because, I know I hate insurance. I hate insurance. My own deductible went up from $2,000 to $4,000, so I get it. It's not fun. But I also am thankful for Susan Wall for reaching out and even letting me know as a board member that they have a retirement group that meets, and that they get together and they have a group that does that. And I myself was not aware that even existed. I was sure that they probably got together, but not that they functioned the way that they do. So maybe it would be good to take some time to open a bit of a dialogue, at least to say, here's what we're doing. Can we get some feedback on if this goes through, what's the best way to do this? Or, get some better feedback that way, if you think that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
And then also look at the other
we discussed is whether or not there's some structural changes that we can make. So for our employees, it's an automated system. We pay in once a year. Here's PIE. Here's how many employees we have. Service professional, we pay up front. Do we move to a one-time system? Either you tell us by this date you're in or you're out, you pay for it, and then we're done for the year, which could also, so there are a couple of different ways that we could approach it, all of which would have pros and cons. And I think much like redistricting, this is where we come out, we say publicly, here's the issue that we have, here are the constraints that growth, here are the decisions that you have to make when you're growing, and you're not getting any more money for growing.
Absolutely.
So here's exactly the dilemma that we're facing. We're giving you all of the information. We have a year to work on this, so let's start talking about it now and having a constructive conversation about what the options are now.
Absolutely, and I think this is helpful to start this dialogue. Ms. Todd, and maybe, I'm sure I'm missing something here, but isn't this a service that the vendors could provide and should provide?
They don't provide that service. I've looked at that. I administer the COBRA because we're self-insured. The only thing that our vendors are doing is basically providing us with a resource of a network of physicians, dentists, and optometrists, and they're providing us with claims administration. So when you're talking your eligibility...
Claims administration is certainly huge, but I would think that it's not, frankly, a very long nor complicated step to get, because they're going to have all the information they need in claims, they could handle, they ought to be able to handle billings and notices as well.
I have asked the question, and both
Well, we might
comments
tell them
from
that
both
they're about
groups.
to lose some participants in their program, and this would be an easy way to keep some participants happy, I would think.
Delta Dental's going to be a hard sell because
They're a hard sell
they
on
actually aren't
everything.
going to be losing people because that's the same
That's the same.
provider for Mountaineer Flex.
Well, we need to look at this, obviously. It would seem to me that they may not have the incentive, but they sure have the wherewithal to do this.
And perhaps, if push came to shove, they may do it, and we just may have to accept a higher admin fee, and it is per policyholder, so we'd need to look at that long and hard.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, indeed. If they did it for a fee, we look at it that way.
Yeah, I just read in the paper the other day, Berkeley increased their prescription fee by $5 per every single one of their employees because their fees are going up for
Yeah.
administrative handling costs for those.
I think it still even brings to light the issue that we've been talking about for quite some time as far as the fact that we feel stuck in this. We have one choice, and when we ask the legislature specifically,
If
do
we
we
could-
have to use PEIA? Can we get our staff better insurance somehow? And no one seems to have an answer to that, whether it's even allowed possible.
Well, we actually do bid out for our dental and vision. PEIA provides our health insurance, and we don't have any alternative but to go with them. But Delta Dental has proven to be a very good provider for us at a very reasonable rate. So until another provider were to step up and do better for us, they're probably the best that we have. And given the fact that a lot of the dental providers in this area don't want to take any insurance, Delta Dental has probably the best reputation and the best viability among the dental providers in this area.
Okay, other questions? Well, again, we appreciate you bringing this to us for discussion. Obviously, I think that we now recognize that there is a manpower issue here. And while there are other options available, they're not without some, in some cases, perhaps significant cost difference. Some are not. But so I think we would like to see a little further dialogue and consideration of the challenge before making any decision.
Sure.
Okay?
Shelby, I want you to realize that we really appreciate you as a contact.
Thank you.
You sort of nudged me along to retirement, and I appreciate all the help you gave me in doing that. And I'm sure there's other people out there in the audience that feel the same way.
I'm not sure how I feel, however, about you being in retirement. Madam Superintendent, any other comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, citizens' comments. I guess we should very quickly approve the minutes. Oh, you have something?
No, action on approval of the minutes.
We have a motion to approve the minutes of the last regular board meeting, May 8th.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any clarifications? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Now, citizens' comments. We appreciate your patience this evening. And I believe we'll call you in the order that Mrs. Harner gave them to us. Ms. Betty Jo Walter, always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. Good evening. As just noted, I am Betty Jo Walter, a retired teacher of Jefferson County Schools. I am also here this evening as president of the Jefferson County Association of Retired School Employees. in particular for those retirees who are currently enrolled in and paying premiums for optical and/or dental insurance provided as a long-standing benefit by our school system. Members of the Village of Jefferson County School retirees noted the item on the agenda this evening about the possibility of discontinuing the benefit of the opportunity to pay the premiums for the optical and dental insurances offered by our school system. Being one of many who has been helped by Shelby Todd, I share with those others the experience of the value of having a familiar and trustworthy local point of contact to assist us with this local insurance. As we glimpse just the tip of the iceberg of what may be described as similar insurances, concerns have been expressed. Will providers that the retirees have been using for years, who have accepted insurance plans from the local school system, accept the other insurances? Will pre-existing medical conditions related to optical and dental be covered by other insurances? And Mr. Osborne, you made a comment a while ago. In closing, I feel an obligation to address the lack of assistance that Shelby has received, most notably in the area of the lack of a billing system that is automated. In May of 2016, the board approved a new position in the finance department by modifying a full-time service position to a half-time professional position. As part of the presentation to seek this modification, there was a reference that this modification would enable the finance department to have the capability to assist Shelby Todd and HR with the collection of insurance premiums from retirees and those who have been granted a leave of absence. I don't know what happened to that assistance, but perhaps the lack of it in part may have led to the possibility of a benefit loss to retirees. I ask that this Board of Education consider maintaining the benefit of the option for retirees to pay for optical and dental insurances under the plan provided by Jefferson County Schools. I hope that the provision of this benefit can become less stressful and less labor-intensive by the possibility of the creation of an automated billing system to address the collection of premiums. I thank you for your time and your consideration of this matter.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Madam Superintendent, Susan Wall.
No, ma'am.
Good to see you, and thank you for being here.
Janet. Good evening. Tonight I share concerns regarding the change to migrate 250-plus Jefferson County retirees from local dental and optical insurance plans to a state plan. I recognize the change for retirees in cost and coverage may be minimal. What will change is individualized service. Retirees pay their premiums, so savings for the county is administrative costs only. I understand county savings will be in time that the benefits coordinator takes to build, track, and follow up with retirees. But for the 250 retirees, this service is priceless. These 250-plus retirees serve the county for 30 or more years, spending hours of their time grading papers, chaperoning activities, working PTO fundraisers, working countless volunteer hours. These retired cooks, secretaries, aides, bus drivers, teachers, custodians were truly professional in their service. Jefferson County Schools has honored and respected them by providing local service. Yes, on paper, by numbers and data, it seems logical that there is no major change in coverage or cost. But there is one big change, a loss in personal assistance. Decisions once made at retirement time will now have to be redone, analyzing coverage, completing and filing new forms, contacting physicians to see if new plans are accepted, going through enrollment worries once again. Long before my tenure in the Jefferson County office, Jefferson County Schools cared about employees and created the benefits coordinator position to facilitate employees past and present. 1 year ago, at a board meeting, a county senior leadership member acknowledged the need for the help for the benefits coordinator, requesting the board to change a position from service to professional, with a promise that the change would provide needed support for the benefits coordinator. The board approved this request. Now we've been told that the promised support never materialized, so service to retirees will change, retirees losing out. I recently read the following: as our population grows, we need to shed our reluctance to embrace changes. Tonight we heard data. As a retired math teacher, I embrace and respect numbers and data. But as a retired counselor, I honor and respect people. We must balance numbers with people. I respect change. Understanding change is not easy, but sometimes we must look beyond facts and data. Tonight I ask that you remember the department which works with benefits is not just the resource department, but is the human resource department. Please don't drop the human from human resources. Thank you for your time.
Former board member and colleague, Mrs. Marlon Dunley. Good to see you.
Good to see you all. Mrs. Horner, for you. Mr. Sudduth and members of the Board of Education. As a retired teacher and member of the Jefferson County Retired School Association, I'm here tonight to share concerns regarding the plan to transfer retirees' optical and dental insurance from the local county plan to the state plan. I understand that the out-of-pocket cost for the 250 retirees participating in the county plan to be switched to the state is minimal. We've preliminarily been told that the minimal increase may be $3 to $5 per month. This may not sound like much, but to an employee who's been retired for 15 years or more, it is significant. Also, the information concerning the increase and change in plans is not exact and could be misleading. The result may be that these individuals decide to do without dental and optical insurance or to pay for one and not the other. Costs go up, but income does not. How sad and callous it would be to put them in that position. This local service has been a huge benefit to those of us who work for Jefferson County Schools. The individualized meeting face-to-face with someone has been a major help. This has been the practice of our system for many years to honor our employee service by providing this local service. School retirees gave of their time, their talents, and their money. Their hard work prepared the students for their future careers, goals, and successes. Many hours were spent preparing lessons, grading assignments, giving up personal time, and sacrificing time with their own families. Many spent their own money assisting students, buying them a coat, lunch, or school supplies. Still giving back, these same individuals volunteer, and that's the operative word, countless hours for students, whether it be reading, tutoring, chaperoning, math field day, social studies, science fairs, book fairs, and some of us are still writing letters of recommendation. Currently, Jefferson County honors this system, past and present, by providing this local service to them. This local service is valuable. The local service shows respect. Retired educators gave and give of themselves. This is the last way that Jefferson County Schools gives back. I understand that the reason for shifting retirees from the county plan to the state plan is because of the support needed to the benefits coordinator. Support was approved by the board when a county office administrator requested a reclassification of a position. Why has the help not materialized as promised? Why now, 1 year later, after the board approved the help in a 4-to-1 vote, is the retiree's benefit of local insurance being eliminated? Where's the accountability and follow-up to the board's approval? Jefferson County honored and respected past employees for their service. I ask that this respect be continued. It's good public relations, and it's the right thing to do.
Before we move to two other citizens' comments on, I believe, unrelated issues, the board would like to thank the three of you for being here. The retirees could not pick more persuasive leadership to represent them tonight, and we thank you for your years of service to this community, and thank you for being here tonight. Jason Smith. And Mrs. Lee, we expect a long meeting tonight. We'd love to have you join us for all of it. Jason, you picked the right night, didn't you?
Yeah, right?
And thank you for, give everyone just a moment.
We'll be there. I got something important to say too. Don't you want to hear it?
Mr. Smith, we appreciate your patience.
You're quite welcome. Good evening. My name is Jason Smith. I'm currently an English teacher at Washington High School and serve as the Vice President for the Faculty Senate. I come here tonight as the representative voice for the faculty, staff, and students of Washington High School. In the fall of 2016, a decision was made to add a Dean of Students at Jefferson High School, a position which now has been renamed Student Support Facilitator. This position was determined to be a need based upon, and I quote, data on socioeconomic factors, data on discipline, data on performance, data on teacher experience, and data on a whole different host of factors, end quote. This facilitator would be responsible for meeting with a caseload of students on a regular basis who are in danger of not graduating to offer additional educational or emotional support. Put simply, this person will aid the current counseling staff to ensure that students at Jefferson High School are given the best possible support and resources needed in order to graduate and be prepared to enter society because, quote, their students are at a higher risk of not graduating. West Virginia Board of Education Policy 2510 states that school counselors shall be full-time professional personnel, shall spend at least 75% of work time in direct counseling relationship with pupils, and shall devote no more than 25% of the workday to administrative activities. Although we are a county that strives for consistency and equality and have adopted a motto of One Jefferson, the only other county high school not receiving the position of a student support facilitator, but instead, Washington High School's counseling staff is being reduced to 3.5 positions instead of the current 4 full-time positions. With the addition of having 2 special ed positions not being refilled next school year, reducing a guidance position will only place more demands on the other people involved. Losing essentially 2.5 positions will compromise student success at Washington High School. Since our opening, counselors at Washington High School have worked with an average caseload of 300 students. With the support of our counselors, our students have consistently obtained attendance rates at or above 93%. And our graduation rates have been equally impressive, with the most recent graduation rate for the 2015-16 school year at 92.8%. With the change from 4 full-time counselors to 3.5 positions, the caseload for counselors would increase by nearly 70 students per counselor. With no extra time to accommodate these added students, this makes it incredibly difficult for our counselors to maintain the same level of support and structure that they currently give our students according to the data that has proven to be effective each and every year. While we understand the need for additional support at Jefferson High School to help the nearly 200 students who are at risk, we do not see the benefit of cutting a counselor position at Washington High School and running the risk of creating a similar situation for Washington that Jefferson High is currently facing. We, the faculty, staff, students, and community members of Washington High School, ask that you strongly consider what is best for the continued success of the school as a whole and restore this position to full-time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Would you make sure that we have a copy of...
I will email you in the morning.
Thank you. Now, if I could just get this thing to work, sorry. Mr. Galbiski?
Gobieski. Yes, thank
Sorry.
you. I apologize. My name is John Gobieski. I'm here on behalf of the Washington High School staff as the chairman of the local school improvement council. As a council, we're taking this opportunity to respond and provide vital data to persuade the board to reconsider and withdraw its decision to convert our full-time counseling position to a half-time position at Washington High School for the 2017-2018 term. Although West Virginia currently does not enforce a mandated school counselor to pupil ratio, the American School Counselors Association does recommend one counselor per 250 pupils. Our current enrollment, as of 5/18/2017, sits at 1,181 students. Moreover, with redistricting, our numbers will grow over the next 4 years to a degree that will exceed the population of the other high school within our county. For the 2017-2018 school term, the county estimates that the enrollment for Washington High School will increase by 78 students at a total of 1,266. The incremental change from our current status to the next school term lays to rest any doubt that we will meet and possibly exceed the recommendations from the Association of School Counselors for a fifth full-time counselor, 1.5 more than the proposed adjustment. In our presentation on 3/9/2017, we clearly stated that we need to maintain current staffing numbers for all departments, including school counseling, and to be provided funding from the county to match the funds which are available to the other county high school from an outside source. Maintaining current staffing would allow us to better meet the needs of our increasing under-resourced population. We respectfully ask that you reconsider this action. If our mission is to support students' growth and achievement, we must have the adequate resources to do so. Counselors provide pathways to success and irreplaceable contributions to our safe climate through student interactions daily. We appreciate your consideration. We look forward to your response. And once again, we ask for you to reconsider. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening.
Thank you. Is this issue on the consent agenda tonight? No. Okay. Good. Thank you again for your comments and engaging the board in these issues. Consent agenda.
Yes, there are two things on the consent agenda. Number one, much to the joy of Mr. Blanc, we are happy to announce the appointment, and she is here tonight, of Miss Kathy Farrow. Correct? Yes. You can't see her through the wave of people hurling. Hello, Miss Farrow. Miss Farrow is being appointed as our new instructional data analyst and coordinator for secondary math, and she comes to us with both 16 years of experience as a high school math teacher, another 5 of experience as a middle school math teacher at the advanced levels at each one, and has served as a regional focus support specialist for RESA 8, leading OEPA diagnostic visits to schools,
great.
Going in and saying, hey, I've reviewed your school program and I'm here to help, and here's how you can best do this. So welcome very much to Kathy Farrow. We're beginning July 1st. She will be here on our instructional team, and we're delighted to have her.
Great. Thank you.
So, and I know that Mr. Blanc is breathing a heavy, heavy sigh of relief. And I also wanted to mention not only her Master's of Arts in Secondary Ed with an additional emphasis in mathematics, but she's also an Apple Certified Education Trainer, so she has the technology background for interweaving the technology with the mathematics that we've been looking for. So we feel very blessed to have found Ms. Farrow.
Can she start tomorrow?
Yeah, not not if Mr. Arvon has anything to do with it. So I think I owe him a bottle of wine, and it'd be well worth it. Also, an edit on number 55. We have the painters on there with a start date of 6/12. Given our project list, their start date will actually be 6/5/2017 this year. Otherwise, the consent agenda stands as 42. Okay.
The itinerary is deleted from the one number 42.
On the, yeah. It wasn't previously itinerant. That was this strike.
Okay. I just saw delete. I just wanted to.
Okay, do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Consent agenda is approved. Unfinished business.
Mr. Blanc will be presenting, requesting action on the approval of the Board of Ed dual credit policy, and he sent the board electronically copies of the public comment that we received.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Blanc, for sending us those comments.
Yes, we applied the recommendations made at the previous board meeting. They received comments from the two individuals. I think you had an opportunity to review those. One was very supportive of just the initiative, and the other comment just thought we should be a little more open of how we permit students to come in to the dual credit enrollment. But they mentioned that our universities, Blue Ridge Community College and Shepherd University, both have their own standard admissions and would administer a placement test to screen children coming in, and say that. So I think it's a pretty open opportunity for students to pursue those courses. I don't know if you have any questions right now. That like I said, I didn't muster too much input from the community. They were excited about the initiative, but the next step would be, now after you all approve this, would be to send to the State Board of Education approval showing in the minutes that the board approved our policy, so we could go forward in that way.
So, could you summarize again, very briefly, the criteria for the program, and when, depending upon approval from the State Board of Education, when it would take effect?
Yeah, I'm hoping that if we can get it on the board agenda in June for the State Board of Education, then I think we could take effect moving forward for the start of the.
So in other words, for the next academic year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, and the criteria is looking for an ACT score of 21 or a SAT score of 1,000, which could also be equivalent to a PSA score for students that are a younger grade, PSAT, and overall cumulative grade point average was required by each individual institution. I think Blue Ridge Community College was a 2.7 GPA, I believe it was, and I think Shepherd's was maybe 3.1. And we leave an appeal process there for anyone that didn't meet that criteria. They could appeal, which the appeal would result in the student taking a placement test at the university, administered by the university then. So we took away, we talked before, there's no attendance or behavior guidelines or anything like that. It's if you have the academic ability and the desire, we want to support our students. And once again, the nice plus we put on this from previously is that it can also be offered to the school, where it's not necessarily going to be where the students need to travel to the institution. We're going to have some classes offered after school during the school day. But that's an exciting advantage. It's not dependent upon transportation.
Do we have a motion to approve the policy?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Questions?
So I just have a clarification. First of all, I just want to say I like the way that this was edited. It's much easier to read. I just feel like
It's all your recommendations.
yeah, I don't know about that. Well, I did have to talk a lot, but that's okay. But I really like it. I think it's written well, much better. The question I have is, right now, if you decide to become an OSE student, the English School Environment student, and you come in late, if you're taking a class at Blue Ridge, I'm assuming you're still considered, that is still considered dual enrollment, or it is not? I mean, my question is, and I'll just use the example of my son, did not meet, had a 17 on his ACT, would not have met this. So, still went and successfully completed 2 college classes at Blue Ridge, sociology and psychology, didn't necessarily use them as dual enrollment courses, used them as 6 college credits. So, does this policy then preclude him from taking those classes?
The university permitted him to, go ahead, Dr. Fitton.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, the university or the college granted admission. I don't see it for us now. We do have to make sure those standards align with the West Virginia content standards for the classes that they're
Right, it was just a college class, so it wasn't necessarily dual enrollment.
Right, and that was one of the things that you brought up last time, for us to have a separate section, because before we had included a sentence or two that said you could still take a college class if it didn't meet the high school dual enrollment credits, and we would give you the time to do that as long as you met the West Virginia Department of Education minimums. You have to have at least 4 classes on campus, like they set certain criteria. As long as you could still meet that requirement. But to your point, that you felt like that was confusing because it was in the dual enrollment section, and it said, well, if it's not dual enrollment, we'll still do it. Well, what's that doing in the dual enrollment section? So what we said is we would take that out and put it in another part of the policy on attendance, for high school grading and attendance. We've had some discussion about where it goes and haven't quite landed on it, but we will allow students to do it as long as they don't violate any of the other WVDE criteria.
Okay. And then my last question was about the grading and point system. So I'm not quite sure that I even remember at this point, though. Does Shepherd and or Blue Ridge, do they use a 10-point grading system, or do they use the grading system that we use? Is it?
They use a letter grading system, and we take their letter grading.
I think it's a 10-point system, but they administer the grade. Yeah, they administer the
I mean, the
grade.
reason I ask that is because I'm thinking, so if I have to choose an AP class where if I get a 92, I'm getting a B, or I take a college English class and I can pull off a 90 and I get an A, my GPA is better and I get higher points for my Promise Scholarship.
Yeah, I think the whole idea is to try to offer options to parents. We've heard parents talk about wanting these options, so I think, your point's well taken. My own children, before they had dual credit, decided they'd go and,
Can we just go to a 10-point grading scale, please?
Well, I know that we've had major presentations from faculty senates, and I know that they have data behind it, and I know that, but my own son actually experienced that because we have not a 10-point grading system. My youngest one now, we didn't get Promise.
And the state dictates that grading system. What we use is state-driven.
Right, and I know it's been this combative thing, so, but I think it might be worth us keeping an eye on that between the 2 classes and looking at how it affects grades, and possibly looking to revisit that again with the 1700th waiver we somehow file somewhere to figure
So
out.
I'd say it would be a good point to bring up with legislatures, because right now we're prohibited from doing that.
Yeah.
And having come from a system where we did exactly that, because we found that we were penalizing our own students against competing high-performing districts that were using a 10-point grading scale. Once you have 1 or 2 of your competing systems go, it's almost like you have to, because you're holding your kids back.
And I hate to say, but then during this time's a tough budget. I'm sure when the state looks at that, they're going to say, hey, here's more Promise scholarships we're going to have to fund if we make this into a 10-point.
Exactly.
Although one of the things that and just to bring the point up, we did not address in here weighted grades, because that is a separate section of our policy, but we have discussed that we'll need to go back and reopen that section of the policy for a discussion on whether or not dual credit has the same weighted grade as AP.
We,
Yes.
Yeah.
I personally have strong feelings about it, but that's a community conversation that we need to have. But that grading policy, the weighted grading policy isn't in this, so
Right.
trying to keep our policies clean.
Yep.
I mean, the weighted grading policy is only internal because the universities are looking at the non-weighted grades. So it's just an internal thing.
Right.
So we can easily weight a college class the same way we weight an AP class, which is supposed to be a college class.
We certainly can. Again, policy is, we have a process for,
Right.
And that
we're
policy-
just saying it is a separate policy, so it's not
Exactly.
addressed in here, so we'll need to bring
But it
that
needs to be
policy back.
addressed.
Other questions or comments?
Just again, thank you so much for the work on this.
All in favor of approving the dual credit policy, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Blanc, and the committee and everyone else who worked on this. Ms. Swartz, thank you for your patience. Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you too. Nothing changed on what I sent through Ms. Butts to be on the agenda. We only had 9 grants. The money that came that's allotted for this 17-18 school year would be $147,169.29 from the McCormick Trust. Administrative costs are $1,800 for the secretary treasurer that does the work. So the total we have was $145,369.29. And we are recommending 10% go to the media center as it has in its entirety. So that would be $14,536.93, leaving us $130,799.36 to grant. Now there is still some leftover money that we didn't finish from last year, and there's some encumbered money that we're not sure is going to get spent. So we really don't have an accurate total of what's left over until the end of, I guess, July or June 30th. But the total grants that we got for this year were $59,038. And they were, the first one was from Miss Pearl, Devin Pearl, for the Renaissance Ambassador. Our school started this Renaissance program, and they wanted an ambassador to go to conferences. And it was $1,400. Mr. Famigliati, who is the drama teacher, he requested some LED sick lights. I'm not sure what that is, but evidently the ones we have are outdated to the point that they're not produced anymore, so we can't get replacements. Plus, these new ones would cut energy costs, and it would help the theater students learn the new standard in theater lighting. He also requested that was for $5,100, and then a stage curtain for $8,000. The current curtain is 15 years old, so the fire retardant has worn off. Plus, it is in terrible disrepair. I spoke with, we communicated, we didn't really speak, Dr. Gibson and I, because someone had asked a few years ago for blinds for a classroom, and that was a no because it was aesthetics. This is a stage curtain, not for aesthetics. It is, but it's also so they learn how to use it for productions, which leads into the next one, which is the big production. Every other year we do the spring, or they do, the spring musical, the Fine Arts Department, and this year it's the Addams Family for $20,000. Dana Jurashek needed some biotech equipment, and that was $10,000. JP Lynch, color guard equipment, and of course we know the band is wonderful, so it's $11,248. And then Chrissy Crawford, the dance instructor, portable sound system for $1,200. Tape measure, smart scale, stopwatches, yoga mats for $840, and a portable ballet bar to improve ballet instruction for $1,250. And again, the grand total for this set would be $59,038. And we unanimously voted to recommend each grant. And we also voted, because at the time, the screen wouldn't come down in the auditorium, which is needed for a lot, and we recommended if the theater teacher wanted to write a grant for that, we would include it and before waiting until the fall, so it would be in place for when the school year starts and everybody uses the auditorium. So right now, we had about $30,000 left from this year's grants. But again, there's still money that's encumbered, but we don't know if it's going to be used. So we would also recommend that we open these back up in the fall. It'll be about $100,000. That's it.
Okay, do you have a motion to approve the McCormick grant recommendations?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Questions? The encumbered funds from this year, are they due to awards that have not yet been completely spent, or are they encumbered because they were not dedicated?
They were dedicated. What we had, this part of it is, it wasn't dedicated, because when we opened them back up in the fall, well, actually, it was this January before we ever got them finished, there was money left there, but then the unencumbered, or the ones that are encumbered, one's for repair on a kiln, and we're not sure if that's going to happen, and the other ones were for Miss Ross's field trips or something that she put in, and they only took the one, so. And the other thing I forgot to mention, the Renaissance Ambassador, that would also be contingent, I would assume, on board approval, because that would have to go through you for them to go wherever this conference is.
And so on this annual yield from the endowment, I mean, do you have to spend it annually? Are you able to roll it over?
We have in the past. Anything that wasn't spent, we rolled over. We used to keep it in a separate fund a long time ago and granted it out to the junior and senior class to defray prom and graduation costs, but they said we couldn't do that anymore, so.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor of, any other questions? All in favor of approving the recommended grants for the 2017-18 school year, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you for your always good work on this very generous but challenging grant program.
Thank you.
Well, it wouldn't be a board meeting without you being here.
Well, thank you.
How's you feeling, buddy?
Me too. Thank you. Good to be here. I guess my first one we'll start with is C, which will be a one-to-one aid for North Jefferson School, and you'll notice that it goes to October 2017 is our guesstimate. We've been working with the students and have had great progress, actually, from a inclusion to almost a self-contained to actually now 75 to 80% in the general ed population. And this aid, we're hoping at this point we should be able to pull the aid away by October. We would come back in September if we felt we needed another month or two, but we're looking that you should see on the board in October that we would RIF this position, and we will post it as such, that this would be a position for this amount of time as a one-on-one. Question?
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions?
This is not somebody that's working now, that's moving from one
No,
school to
that's the
another.
next,
This is
that's the next position, yes.
Oh, okay.
No, this is, it was like a sub. We put an extra sub in to see if we could help change the behaviors and really come in as a team and hone in on her and really give her the support she needed. And it's working, and as we're getting from a self-contained room one-on-one to actually, hi, good morning, and 75-80%, we're just very super excited about this, that the plan has worked.
If the plan works as hoped, then in October, is the position eliminated, or is it reclassified or
At this point,
reassigned?
the intent is to
Terrific.
the position. So we would
Okay.
advertise it as, this is only a job through the end of
Right.
October.
Okay.
Hope that we have other positions open for you, but that's
But
not a guarantee. And I appreciate the fact that we're now, and that's something we've had a lot of discussion about, because
Correct.
there's been a tendency to simply create positions.
Right.
When children move, we say,
No.
we'll find something to do in the office, or we're not an employment agency, we're an educational agency, so we're trying to tailor our services much more closely. So this position will be advertised that it ends in October, and then if the child needed more services, we would have to come back and say, we wanted to continue the position or re-up the position.
Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you. On to D. This is actually for a full-time position, one-on-one personal care aide at TA Lowry. This is for a lovely young lady who is she is going into first grade from kindergarten, which we find with that extra aide in kindergarten, they have the support, but going into first grade, the kindergarten aide stays in kindergarten. So this girl is going into our MMI room, moderately impaired, and we are able to fill this. My prayers sometimes are very much answered. We have another one-on-one aide that was there, that their child moved away. So she is able to use her in this position for this student.
Okay, motion to approve. And a second.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Ms.
All right,
Swan.
thank you.
Any other, we anticipate a closed session,
Yes, sir, for both personnel and leave.
and do we anticipate any action?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, so before we entertain a motion to move into closed session, any comments from the board?
Our RESA meeting was canceled, and Bondi is charged with meeting with the other superintendents in our region to figure out how we're going to do this thing.
June 14th. And it was astonishing. They sent us about a 9-page paragraph by paragraph. It's separate programs. Here's the program. Here's who buys in. Here's how much it cost. Yes, are you in or are you out? Are you in or are you out? So it's been a vetting process.
It is quite interesting right now.
This is just for RESA 8. This is not the...
Yes, sir. This is just the RESA 8. This is not even yet the superintendent's, quadrant council that is in theory going to go to the state board. No, sir.
I'm glad you said theory.
But they're slowly working on how to go about this, but it's a slow process right now, to be truthful with you, and a scary process, to be honest with you.
In the, not on the agenda, but in the backup materials, there looked like there was an additional item that did not make it onto the agenda.
No, sir, it did not. That should have been removed. My apologies that it wasn't.
Okay.
Congratulations to all the graduates this past weekend.
Yeah, and to principals for 2 outstanding graduation ceremonies. It was a pleasure to participate.
Very nice graduations, yes.
And to witness Mrs. Ogden not tripping her son and not, as he walked across the stage, and seeing Mr. Dingus handle himself quite well. So congratulations to you both.
Minimal tears.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll take a motion to retire to executive session for consideration of real estate and personnel issues pursuant to West Virginia Code. Any action that the board takes, we will return to public session and take any action in public session. Do we have a motion to move to executive?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll take a brief break.